All righty. Okay. So we are now live on YouTube. Let me make sure that I did that. All right. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you okay. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can hear you perfect.
Great.
Okay. So that was crazy. That was definitely crazy. You know what? It was worth the effort because this conversation is about to be ridiculously profound. First and foremost, you look amazing. You look amazing.
Oh, you too. Thank you so much. Pisces.
Girl, you are embodying that Piscean energy. You look amazing. So,
Oh, thank you so much. It's that Pisces ability to just make a crazy day look good. Look halfway decent. Thanks, sis.
so today, thank you so much for joining me for episode 18 of the Soul Sanctuary podcast. I wanted to bring you on because we've had quite a few very profound conversations, and I tasked you with coming up with questions to ask me about sacred sex. I'm actually pretty bashful about this topic. I don't know if people realize that. And so I was like, I don't know what I'm going to talk about because, I mean, unless someone asks me, I still carry that stigma of like talking about this subject matter, which is,
Right.
it's insane because I'm a full grown woman. I have children. I'm married. Like,
Mhm.
there's no reason to have shame about talking about that word, the three-letter word, but
I get it. Yeah.
that's the thing. I think that's what we need to talk about today.
Yeah.
That very topic and the sacred nature
Hmm.
of sacred sex. I know you had some questions that you had prepared. Um, I will let you first and foremost introduce yourself to everyone.
Okay. Okay. I really can't see anyone but you, so I don't know where to look, and that's okay. Hi, everyone. Soul fam, I'm Ocean Lover. Thank you very much for the opportunity and the privilege.
Yes. So you guys are hearing Ocean Lover probably for the first time. And I mean, it's the most sultry, most amazing voice. I
That's
love it.
so sweet. Too kind.
I'm setting up my screen to be able to see everyone's comments. So if they have any questions for you, or for both of us, I'll be able to see it and I'll relay it to you.
Okay.
Um, all right, I'm ready. If you're ready, I'm ready, and you can ask away.
Okay. Okay. Um, this is a very interesting subject. And as you've said, so many of us just do not speak about this. And I think that we do ourselves a disservice when we don't speak about this because it is important. Not only the things that we don't want to see, but the things that we do want to see. So, speaking of that, part one of this talk of sacred sex, we spoke a lot about what sacred sex is not, what sacred relationships are not. So in this part, we're going to talk about what sacred sex is, what sacred relationships are. So let's begin with the basics. What
Okay.
is the meaning of sacred?
Well, for me personally, and this definition is going to vary with each person. For me, sacred is a relationship with divinity. It is
Mm,
something that must be cultivated, something that
mm,
must be tended to. And many of us, we find sacred as something that's just like a one stop thing, where once you reach that point, that's it. You don't have to maintain it, you don't have to do anything. It's kind of like you're already there, and then that's it.
mm.
No, sacred is an ongoing unfoldment, it's an ongoing eternal blossoming of the self and the soul. So sacred is a
Yes.
very profound thing. And I feel like society at large, even spiritual communities, we've lost sight of the actual essence of what sacred is.
Mm,
Yeah.
I agree. Woo. Ah, that was very powerful. Bam. If you're feeling that, if you like that, feel free to put hashtag sacred in the chat. I like that a lot. So now that we have a basic definition or a basic conceptual understanding of sacred. What is a sacred relationship? And what does a sacred relationship look like? Where does a sacred relationship begin?
Well, a sacred relationship is any type of connection with another being that
Mm,
will help to elevate and further grow your connection with your own divinity.
mm.
This is a
Oh,
connection that will challenge you in healthy ways and sometimes in an adversarial way. It depends on the
mm,
type of learner you are. But a sacred relationship is one that absolutely encourages your growth.
mm,
Anything that helps to grow you, whether it's a comfortable growth or a growth that that very painful, very challenging, struggle filled, if it is growing you, it is a
mm.
sacred type of connection. And relationships can be platonic, they can be
Mhm,
romantic, they can be
mhm.
familial. Relationship really is not just a sexual thing. It's not
Right.
just a boyfriend girlfriend thing or girlfriend girlfriend, boyfriend boyfriend, whatever it is. It's not
Mhm.
always a romantic thing, but a sacred relationship will always be something that will help to elevate your understanding of yourself, your
Wow.
soul, part of your purpose, help you to better define who you are through experiences, not because you're being told, but because of what you're experiencing with a person.
Mm. Whew. Let me tell you something. If I were in the chat right now, I would have all these fire emojis. But I'm not in the chat right now. So if you're feeling that, can you put fire emojis for me? For
And
Ocean Lover. Can somebody do that for me?
a lot of people
That
are
is,
putting hashtag sacred for you. They're
I
really
love it.
resonating with convo.
I love it. That's beautiful. And I have to tell you something too, because I never really thought about adversarial relationships even being sacred. I know that they grow us, but this is really helping to expand my understanding and my embracing of the word sacred, because you're right. Ultimately, it grows us, right? It's beautiful. So let me see. I think this is a question that so many are waiting for. Y'all don't have your children in the room, right? All right. So now the question: what is sacred sex?
Ooh. Big question. Girl, it's a wall of fire right now in the
Hey,
comments. It's a wall of fire.
wow.
Oh gosh. Um, for me personally, and I like to preface this with that phrase, for me personally, because I want to
Yes,
emphasize that the definition is not absolute. We each
absolutely.
have the right as sovereigns to define this concept in whatever ways most healthy for us.
Yes,
So for me
yes.
personally, sacred sex is an awareness of the activity of having the power to create.
Mm,
We're either going to be creating a new life, which,
mm.
let's face it, heterosexual sex leads to new life being formed eventually.
Yeah.
At some point, that's what it was created for, and at some point, that is what it will do. It will create a
Mhm,
brand new human being.
mhm.
Now, it's not just that though. That's not the only
Okay.
form of creation. When
Mm,
we have sacred sex with an individual, we are opening ourselves to the potentiality of creating a new life with another person.
ooh,
Mm,
woo.
right? Yeah, that was the
Yes.
original intent. To be able to bond, to merge, even momentarily in a physical manner. You are
Mhm.
becoming a new being.
Oh,
It's a synergistic type of action.
yes.
Well, that was the
Yes.
original intent, right? The original intent was the act of synergy, two
Yes.
components coming
Yes.
together to create an even more profound whole, an even
Mm,
more divine whole. And in this act of synergy, we are developing an awareness prior to and during the actual intimate act of connection.
mm.
And this is us merging our energies with another individual. This is
Mm,
the commingling of our awareness of ourself and of the other. And when it is sacred,
mm.
it increases our energy and it helps us to tap into the cosmic energies, and that unfolds into the sacred feminine and divine masculine.
Oh, wow. I am so curious at this point, Emmy. I can't see the chat, but I am so interested and curious as to how many of us were expecting any of this. Like, how many of us were expecting to go this deeply, even at this point? How many of us really have taken the time or even have considered thinking about sacred sex in this aspect, in this regard?
Yes, everyone in the comments, if you are here to better understand sacred sex and you weren't expecting it to go that deep that fast,
Mm,
please do. Hashtag dive deeper. Thank you, Lindsay. If you want to dive even deeper into this subject, if you want to ask more
mhm.
questions, hashtag dive deeper. Put it in the comments and we will go much deeper.
Ooh, I love that. Now, you touched on so many things that I didn't even expect. And we even got towards the emotional, the spiritual, so many different aspects. Now, this is kind of off kilter, but it's still related. I love music. From what I gather, you do too. And you, like most people out there, have most likely heard the song Sexual Healing by Marvin Gaye, right? Divine Peace to His Soul. It's a very popular song. Here's what I want to know though. Do you think that sex has the power to heal? Sacred sex. Do you think that it has the power to heal? In addition, are you familiar with Seminole and ovarian kung fu? If so, any of these things, any or all of these things, elaborate where and how you wish.
So, first and foremost, frequency comes in different forms.
Mm,
It can be audible, it can
mm,
be energetic, it can
mm,
be visual, it
mm,
can be a whole bunch of different things. We have sacred
mm,
geometry, which is a formation of frequency, the
mm,
forms that frequency creates. Now, what is music? It's allowing spoken word to take on its true form, which is poetry in motion. That's what a
mm,
song is,
mm.
poetry in motion. What
Poetry
do
in
you do day
motion.
to day? You live, right? You create for yourself day to day. When you are in
Yes.
the act of sacred sex, it's the same thing as poetry in motion, which is a song.
Mm,
Songs have the power to do so many different things for us. They evoke memories. It's said
mhm.
that sound as well as smell, those two things can bring
Yeah.
back memories that are so old, so long ago, but you feel it as though it just happened.
Yes.
So that
Yes.
sound sexual healing. Oh my gosh, the message of that. Oh, the message of that.
Mhm.
What we have turned into something that is very almost parasitic,
Yeah.
something that has lost its divinity, lost its
Mhm.
purpose, it absolutely still maintains the capacity to help heal us.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You know, when you are able to connect with someone in a way that is on a more divine level, where it's not
Mhm.
simply the act of fornication, right?
Mhm.
Oh my goodness, you rediscover parts of yourself that you forgot existed.
Mm.
It
Wow.
helps to reach higher levels of that dimensional consciousness. Now, you
Wow.
asked me about seminal and ovarian kung fu.
Mhm.
Um, that's a, you know, it sounds like a funny type of term, but it's
Mhm.
actually something so ridiculously profound.
Mm.
First, kung fu, kung means skillful work, right? That's
Mm.
what the meaning of the word kung is. Fu is about time spent, time
Mm.
spent on skillful work. Now, when you're spending time on skillfully building that sexual energy, which is a creation energy, that's the commingling of
Yes.
two shaktis,
Yeah.
creating
Oh.
a totality, right?
Mm. Mm.
You are absolutely positioning yourself to amplify frequency through the learning to control your sexual energy, sexual
Mm,
activity. This has
mm,
a lot to do with withholding that uh, ejaculation, basically.
mhm,
It's said that men in particular, they lose much of their energy, their power when they ejaculate. Okay,
mhm,
when they release their seed, they are losing much of that energy. This is
mhm,
why warriors sometimes in the ancient past, and even
mhm,
sometimes in the more intense type of sports,
mhm,
contact sports especially, there is this running conversation of you should withhold, you shouldn't,
mhm,
release
mhm,
that. That's pent up aggression, pent up energy. And that's the more animalistic form of the
mhm,
energy, the
mhm,
aggression, right? uh, but it's still energy, it is still
mhm.
creative, powerful
Yeah,
energy. And when
yeah,
you hold that, that doesn't necessarily mean you don't orgasm.
yeah.
When you learn to cultivate and learn your body, the way your body functions, the
Mm,
places of pleasure, those erogenous zones, I
mhm,
mean, you could absolutely orgasm without ejaculation. And
mm,
that's what the seminal and ovarian kung fu really is. It's
mm,
about accumulating that sacred sexual energy. And when you do that, it increases your frequency, which helps you to punch through any type of frequency walls, frequency barriers,
mm,
to reach higher levels of dimensional consciousness. The higher your resting frequency, the more able you are to connect, to tap into your clairs, your
mm,
clairsentience, clairvoyance, clairaudience, all of those clairs. You can
mm,
tap into that. It's a lot easier to astrally project if you like to astrally project. There's just so many different things. You can use it to transmute
mm.
these energies, perceptions. You can
Yeah,
use it to transcend. I mean,
yes,
what's more powerful than transcendence?
exactly, exactly. So you have the transmuting, the transmutation, you have the transformation, and you have the transcendence. I love that combination. I really do. Oh, my goodness. Now, fam, was that deep? Was that deep? I want to know, was that deep? And if that was deep, you do realize that we're not even halfway into the interview, right? We're not even halfway into the conversation. So I would like to know from the chat, how many of you want to dive even deeper?
Mm. Ooh, I'm kind of scared. I'm going to find my bravery. I'm going to find my courage, and we'll go as deep as y'all want to go. We will go as
Wow.
deep as you guys want to go. Lisa asked, is that why foreplay is so important? The withholding, building up to. So, human foreplay is more about teasing. It's more
Mm,
about activating and acclimating you to a heightened touch.
mm,
And that's what foreplay is about. That's what it is for.
mm,
You can see that seminal kung fu, seminal ovarian kung fu, and tantric sex as like spiritual foreplay. Uh, Now, spirit doesn't necessarily have to have that physical act of ejaculation. And
mm,
that's what we need to understand. A lot of that foreplay has a lot to do with the activation of your sensitivity to all of your receptors. Now,
mm.
if
Wow.
your lover were to kiss you in an erogenous zone, I mean, there's areas on me that are not. I'm usually very covered up, right? Usually long sleeves, full pants. I'm very rarely fully exposed, and my husband can kiss me in a specific spot that is exposed, which is like what I mean, really, what's left? My hands, my neck. There's not much that's exposed on me on a day to day,
Mm.
and he can kiss me in a specific spot, and I will feel all of my receptors fire up.
Wow.
Yes,
Wow.
yes.
That's deep.
And just one little innocent peck, and everything fires up.
Wow. Now that is That's really something. Wow. Mm. So I don't know if I'm ready to dive deeper, girl. You have already gotten so deep. Oh my gosh. I can only doggy paddle. So, you know what? We're going to do it though, because I think the Soul Fam wants to do it. And I think it's good for all of us. So, audience, Soul Fam, the last hashtag was dive deeper, right? But if you're ready for an even deeper dive, feel free to type deeper dive in the chat.
Hashtag deeper dive. Oh my gosh, guys.
Ooh.
I'm scared. Okay. No, we're finding our bravery today.
We are. And pardon me if I get this term wrong. I hope you know what I mean. But if not, then I can give you more information on what I remember from it. So on last week's episode, you mentioned the concept of projectile catalyst. What exactly is a projectile catalyst? And is there a counterpart to that?
So, a projectile catalyst, it's basically the pressure injection into a sacred port.
Mm.
You're pressure injecting energy that catalyzes your ascension mechanics.
Wow.
Yes. So, projectile catalyst is a neutral thing. It's not
Mhm.
positive, it's not negative. It's a
Okay.
totality,
Oh,
right? It's
wow.
like receiving components that take you into a space of totality. Um,
Mm.
the male portion of that, semen has 23 chromosomes, I believe it is.
Mm.
And then the female egg has the other half, right? And it's this thing of you are receiving that necessary component to bring into a totality that moment, that experience.
Mm.
It has everything to do with ascension mechanics. And it is something that, although it's energetic in nature,
Mm.
it can be accomplished through sexual act.
Wow.
Um, with this, you can be very casual in your sexual encounters. I'm totally not trying to shame anyone or trying to encourage any type of um, lifestyle. But
Mhm.
the thing is, even if you are very casual, you don't want to build any type of connections, you're not in it for a relationship, you're not into
Mhm.
monogamy, perfectly fine. But with the concept of the projectile catalyst, they are pressure injecting into a sacred space. The
Mm.
sacred space gives direct access to a
Mhm.
port, a spiritual port that will allow for the dispersion of all of that energy immediately through your
Wow.
internal energetic field.
Oh.
It is a crystal seal that basically it's like at the top, at the fundus, the top of your
Mm.
uterus. And typically when, and it can be any size, male component being inserted, that has direct access to that port. And
Mm.
as the semen is ejected, what ends up happening is that goes directly to this crystal seal. Because really, what does the semen do? It swims.
Mm.
It's pressure injected, it's shot out, and then it swims. And as you're having this activity, the
Mhm.
organic female response is to produce a type of lubrication that is hospitable
Mm.
to semen. It facilitates the swimming and the spread of the semen into the woman's womb, right? And so all of this is all part of the grand design. And you can
Yes.
be as casual as you want,
Mm.
emotionally, mentally, energetically. This is not a casual act.
Mhm.
It's just not. And it has a lot
Yeah.
to do with the projectile catalyst function of that physical act.
Yeah. Ooh. Whoa. I don't know how many were expecting that. I know that I was not. I was not. And speaking of swimming, we are definitely diving deep, aren't we?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. My goodness. So in your in the last question, in your answer, we kind of got more into yin and yang, the last couple of questions. Can you explain the concept of yin and yang?
Well, for me personally, yin and yang is nothing but opposing polarities on the
Mhm.
same plane of existence.
Mm,
And because they're on the same plane of existence, their opposing polarities
mhm,
creates a complementary existence to each other. So
mm,
it's not necessarily that opposites attract, and that's what yin
mhm,
yang is. It's
mhm,
that they are simply two halves of one whole. Now,
mm,
each component is whole in itself.
mhm,
But when you bring it together, it creates the yin yang, which has a very profound meaning.
mm,
Opposing positioning actually creates the movement. When
mm,
you put two magnets and you can get them to swirl around each other, you can get them to orbit. And that's
mhm,
the movement that leads to the growth because each position has a different strength. And that
mm.
different strength is what can better complete and support the weakness of the other.
Wow.
So in spiritual spiritual type of teaching, modern spirituality, we are basically being programmed to believe we need to find someone who is exactly like us.
Mm,
Why would you want that? So you're
mm,
both weak in the same areas?
mm.
How are you going to
Good
succeed?
question. Mm,
If you take a look at my personal relationship, one of the most profound relationships I have ever had in my entire life.
mhm,
We are so similar, but we are also so polar opposite in so many things.
mm.
And it's
Wow.
opposing positioning on that same plane of existence that causes my husband to be able to teach me through his existence and place
Mm,
in my life about things that I could never possibly understand on my own.
wow.
I couldn't because I don't have that type of mindset.
Mhm,
Uh, I don't have that type of energy. And he
mhm.
helped me to learn this by simply existing.
Oh,
Yeah.
that is profound. That is profound. Guys, how are you taking this? How are you taking all of these things? How are you taking this? I would like to know. Emmy, what is our soul fam saying about this conversation?
They're all saying deeper dive. I
Hey,
tell
they
you,
want to go deeper.
I
They want
want
to
to
go
go
deeper.
deeper.
You want to go
Yeah.
deeper. Okay. All right. So
Mary has
that's
an amazing
that's
question. She's
mhm,
asking, are UTIs, urinary tract infections, caused by frequency incompatibility?
mm,
So this kind of touches into that um, projectile type
mm,
catalyst. Okay.
mm,
When I was talking about the pressure injection.
mm,
So the active sex will pressure, the pressure of it, the friction, the rubbing, and all of those juices, for lack of a better word,
mm,
all of those juices are causing certain types of normally benign bacterias that exist on our skin to enter into the urethra. Okay.
mm,
And this is the same thing. We are allowing unknown variables to enter into our body. If we
mm,
don't purge that out, in the case of UTIs, if you don't urinate immediately after
mm,
go ahead and complete the act with another person, that sits in
mm,
your bladder, and that
mm.
can cause UTIs. There's
Ah,
also the frequency incompatibility portion where their pH is not compatible with yours. There's
mhm,
just so many different components, but
mm,
I think it has a lot to do with understanding who you are and are not compatible with. What
mhm,
certain things you can and cannot allow in your life, whether that's interactions, whether that's them having any place in your life at all, um,
mm,
how intimate those interactions are. It can cause infectious type conditions,
mm.
energetic as well as physiological.
You know, it's so interesting that you said that because I have a question, but you basically have answered so much of it. I wanted to know, I wanted to take a deeper dive into the exchange itself, the physiological, energetic, and or esoteric aspects of sex. I wanted to know what happens during sacred sex, but you've been answering that for the whole time, for the whole time. So I tell you what, it seems like our audience can handle a deeper dive. What do you think?
They definitely can. They are fully engaged. I see quite a few comments that they love your voice.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. You all are too sweet. Thank you. So, we kind of touched on this, but let's dive a little deeper, right? In our society, and many societies in our modern time, the concept of instant gratification seems to be more of the rule than the exception. On this end of the spectrum, there are norms such as casual dating, flash dating, the hookup culture, etc. In your observation, what, if any, impact does this have on emotional and sexual intimacy?
Ooh. Ooh. That programming was intentional.
Mm,
It was intentional. Now,
mm.
y'all know how I feel about the whole twin flame topic. That's
Uh-oh.
no secret. Ties into that.
Yeah.
Twin flame concept is a real thing.
Mm-hmm.
My disdain for the topic is how society has further muddled the
Yeah.
topic, the subject
Yeah.
itself. So, with all of those programs that you mentioned, the flash dating, casual dating, hookup culture, side
Mhm.
piece type,
Oh, yeah.
sneaky link, well, all these different terms that romanticize um, the reality of what's going on, which is they've removed the divinity within intimacy. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Divinity of it, the sacredness of that sexual encounter, that
Mhm.
connection has been
Mm.
removed. It's become a
Yeah.
very casual thing. And that's sad. It also created a counterculture to the divine relationship.
Mm.
How many times have we heard in pop culture, in other subcultures, if a man shows his devotion to a woman, he's a simp?
Oh, yes. I have something against that so strongly. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I had someone, a family member, joking, of course. My husband absolutely caters to me. He adores me. He takes
As he
care.
should.
Right. And
Hmm.
a relative, joking again, was like, "Oh, don't be a simp." And I mean, it takes a real masculine man to be able
Yes.
to be like, "Nah,
Yeah.
I'm a simp
Yeah.
for her." And it has zero shame about it. I was just like, you know,
That's right.
and it's just this attack on the divine union, the sacred.
Yes.
And they knew the twins were coming. You know,
Mm.
actual twin pairs are actually very rare, much rarer than we
Mm.
realize. But
Mm.
they knew that these sacred unions were coming.
Mm.
And one of the first ways they went ahead and destabilized all of us as a
Mm.
society, all of us. First, they attacked the family unit.
Mm.
Most
Yes.
family units, after a certain generation, are single parent. Okay.
Yes.
That's not a bad
Hmm.
thing, you know,
Hmm.
but that's a difficult thing. How
Yeah.
could a single parent ever possibly um, be able to provide the full gambit of nurturing if you
Hmm.
only
It's true.
right? You
Yeah.
have to be so focused on the human needs, the rent,
Yeah.
utilities, the food.
Hmm.
Oh,
Hmm.
kids are not cheap. They are
Hmm.
not
Hmm.
cheap. And so, as the single parent is basically crushed by the weight of existence,
Hmm.
the important things that aren't so tangible kind of fall to the wayside because really you have no
Yeah.
option.
Yeah.
Nurturing. How can a single parent who is working two jobs,
Hmm.
how can you come home and cook this wonderful meal and sit down with the kids and how was your day and read them a bedtime story,
Hmm.
after you've helped them with homework? Like that's a luxury.
Mm.
At this point, that's a luxury. So
Mm.
when you grow up that way, and some single parents are able to do this, some
Mhm,
single
mhm,
parents put their all into it, uh,
mhm,
and it crushes them more but
Mm.
to them it's more important for the children to have all of this, right?
Yeah, yeah.
If you are one of the single parents that, you know, the reality is, again, the pressure of doing all of this on your own has crushed you and you haven't been able to nurture to the degree that you wish you could.
Mhm.
The children who grow up in that environment are they're not necessarily broken,
Mhm.
but it does send a very powerful message of sacred relationships are not real. Sacred unions are impossible. Those are stories.
Yes.
And
So
I
true.
don't deserve that. You know, if
Mhm.
my mother or my father, who worked so hard to provide for me, did not have that, I don't deserve that.
Mm.
And it created this entire snowball effect. So
Mm.
first they did that. And after they had, you know, a couple of generations who were subjected to that, the
Mhm.
unfairness of the instability, um,
Mhm.
then they introduced the whole casual sex, like
Mm.
sexual liberation, all of
Mm.
these things. Like, oh, you're a, I was called a prude when I was a teen. I was just
It's
like,
okay. Me too.
it's okay. Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
old school, you know.
that's right. Yeah, I feel you.
And a lot of that was pushed on everyone.
Mhm.
Hypersexualization of people who are still children, grown children,
Yes.
but still children.
Little children, yeah.
From teenage years all the way to the
Mhm.
20s. And now it's not uncommon for someone who's barely in their teens to have lost their virginity. It's
Yeah.
not uncommon for people to, as children, be groomed. You know, these
Mhm.
are like
Yes.
trigger topics, but it's had a
No,
very
you're
very
right.
effect. You know, it
Mhm.
created the position of the sacred feminine and the divine masculine in each other.
Oh, whoa,
Yeah.
whoa. Oh, all of these things. All of these things. I'm even thinking, I am hoping that in some of the episodes to come, some of these things that we're speaking about right now, we can continue, not necessarily me and you, but hopefully it can continue to be discussed because these things are so important. You touched on so many things, and I can almost guarantee that a lot of people in the audience can feel you. I can feel you on so many of those things that you spoke on. It's like, mm, yeah, I think we need more of this. We need more of this. So beautiful. You know, I have a question, a follow-up question, but I so want to ask you about the divine masculine and divine feminine. Oh, it's the question after this one. So just hold tight for me because I want to go back into that. So on the opposite side now of instant gratification, there is the delayed gratification, the concept of delayed gratification. On this side of the spectrum, there are norms such as tantric sex, extended sexual orgasm, also known as ESO, fusion of the five elements, etc. So, what, if any, impact do you think this has on emotional and sexual intimacy?
Mm. Those practices are profound.
Mm,
First and foremost, I can pretty much guarantee not many people in the comments will even know what those are. Maybe you've
mm,
heard of tantric sex, but you don't really know what it is. It's
mm-hmm,
some like esoteric something, spiritual sex
mm-hmm,
something. You know,
mm-hmm,
the ESO, that extended sexual orgasm. We're like, what? That sounds good, but what is,
mm-hmm.
you know?
Right.
And fusion of the five elements, I'm pretty certain no one's heard of that.
Mm,
But these are all very, very profound practices.
mm-hmm,
Why are they profound? Because they encourage the exploration of and the celebration
mm.
or as it rises into a spiritual flow. And
Wow.
practice anything that has the potential to raise the human experience into a spiritual one is by definition transcendence.
Wow.
To transcend is to go from using that limited human language and to very seamlessly enter into a space of singing the songs of soul. And that's what,
Mm.
you know, where you're just savoring every note, the melodies, how the different instruments come together. And what are our parts? Instruments that create an orchestra when played by the right player, right?
Wow. Wow. Guys,
Girl, you're
guys, I'm
bringing it
telling
at
you.
me. I'm telling you, I would not be saying any of this if you weren't asking me things, you know?
You know, I'm telling you, there's a reason that I'm on this side of the screen and not the other side of the screen. There's a reason that I'm not in the chat because my fingers would probably have all types of stiffness from typing snip quotes so much. There are so many quotables. Guys, if you are out there and you are especially drawn to something that Emmie has said, put the quotable in the chat for us. We love to see that. Even if you put snip quote in a brief description of what captured you, what really captivated you, we love to see that as moderators. I love to see that as just a viewer, even if I weren't a moderator. I love to see that because the profound, the levels of it's just, I love it. And I appreciate it. And let's let our soul fam know that we really appreciate the the investment of energy and time into all of this. This is very important. So thank you very much for this, Emmie, and thank you very much for this, soul fam. This is really great. Wow. So, all right, we're gonna go back a little bit, and I have my handy dandy computer right here, my handy dandy tablet. All right. So, since we have discussed the concept of yin and yang, I like to stay in that area for just a bit, if that's okay. Is that okay with you?
Yeah.
Okay. So I think that so many of us see the term divine feminine and divine masculine being used so much, so much. My questions, one of my questions is this: is one, by virtue of being a female or a male, respectively, a divine feminine or a divine masculine? Just what is the divine feminine? What is the divine masculine? Because I see that so much. And some of the most toxic people love to call themselves divine feminine, divine masculine. And that's just my observation. That's my personal opinion. But I want to know, what really is divine feminine? What really is the divine masculine?
So, by virtue of living in a physicality here on Earth, because of the nature of the phase locked frequencies, a lot of the tampering that was done to the planetary grid, the laws of reciprocal reflection causing that to be embodied inside us.
Mm,
What I'm trying to say is, we live in a very convoluted world.
mm,
Everything is upside down. What's right is wrong, what's wrong is right, and you
yes.
are convinced to believe the polar opposite of what you actually need,
Oh,
right? So that's first and foremost.
yes. Makes sense.
Right? The divine
Speak it.
feminine, a sacred feminine and divine masculine do not tell you they are. It's very
Mm,
rare for them to identify as that.
mm.
Simply witness them and you identify them as that. I
Yeah, I feel
remember,
you.
and this kind of is a little bit of a tangent, but I remember years ago, someone had an issue with me on social media
Mm,
because people in their audience, they had a really big audience, right? People in
mm,
their audience were categorizing me as a high priestess. I don't even
mhm.
categorize myself as a high priest. I'm
But you are.
a stay-at-home mom. And I was like, y'all are just making drama. I didn't know myself. And that was the thing, was that I didn't need to involve myself. It
Mm,
wasn't a mislabeling of myself.
mm, mm.
People were witnessing me and identifying me as that after observing me.
Oh,
You witness a sacred feminine and a divine masculine, you just know that's what they are, even if you don't know those terms.
yes.
But
Wow.
people who have a tendency to use those terms are doing so as a fake elevation,
Mm,
wall. You know what I mean?
wow.
Go finish. They don't
Mm,
feel what they need to feel inside. And it
mm,
creates this externalization of that insecurity. And they'll be
mm,
the labeling. It's basically makeup for the soul, you know,
mm.
improperly applied makeup for the soul. It don't even look good.
Wow. Oh, wow.
you know that's basically, when
Deep.
you see and hear people using those terms and you're like, oh my gosh, but you're so toxic. Just
Mm.
remember that. Don't take it in. We don't have to understand the way their heart functions.
Mm-hmm.
When I don't understand the way someone's heart or mind functions, instead of trying to understand if they're toxic, I
Mm-hmm.
instead remind myself to feel gratitude because I don't
Like
have
it.
that heart or mindset.
Oh,
I don't
like it.
understand because I'm not like that, you know? And I will
Love it.
have gratitude for not being toxic and just keep it moving. So
Wow.
for the actual terms sacred feminine and divine masculine, we
Mm-hmm.
each have within all of us, each of us
Mm-hmm.
have both the genders, spiritual
Mm.
gender. Okay. And what those terms mean, it has more to do with a person's self identification
Mm.
and soul level.
Okay.
Has to do with the juxtapositioning of whoever is around you and how you feel. So,
Mm.
the whole twin flame thing. Um, I have a very masculine energy. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I look feminine, but I have a very masculine energy. And when
I
you
get it
sit,
completely.
yeah, when you sit and like kind of observe me, it's like, oh, she don't really act like a woman. She don't really act like, but she's a woman. But that's
Mm-hmm.
weird. I don't know how to make sense of it. It's because
Mm-hmm.
my energy is masculine.
Mm-hmm.
Now, with my energy being as masculine as it
Mm-hmm.
is, when you juxtaposition me with my divine counterpart, a twin,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm absolutely the feminine.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. There's no questions. I am the feminine.
Mm-hmm.
That is an ultra masculine type energy. And when
Mm-hmm.
I say ultra masculine, what I'm talking about is the archaic positioning and role of the masculine, this
Mm.
elevation in power and brute force
Ah,
ability in order
wow.
to protect the sacred feminine.
Oh, I like that. I love that.
Yes.
Girl.
Because the sacred feminine is really the living temple from which life comes.
Oh, profound. Snip quo. Snip quo. Somebody snip quo for me. Woo.
Really what it is. That's how we were created. That men are
Yeah.
important in our lives, ladies. They are
Yes,
important.
yes. Absolutely.
When we continue to tear them down, when we continue
Mm-mm.
to weaponize our sacredness, that doesn't
Yes.
help the masculine to heal. And the
Mm-mm.
masculine needs our help to heal so that they
Yes.
can help lift us back to our proper
Oh,
place.
love it.
And where are
Love it.
we in our
Oh,
proper place? Beside each other,
yes.
shoulder to shoulder.
Yes.
Not
Yes.
one elevated and that's human concept. No, we are codependent in that we
Yeah.
need each to continue our species, regardless
Mm.
of what you identify as, you know,
Mm-hmm.
that's irrelevant to the conversation. You
Mm-hmm.
need that other component in order to procreate.
Yes. Oh my goodness. There are so many things, two things I want to talk about just from that. Wow. The first thing is Soul Fam in the audience, in the chat. Have you had any aha moments during this chat? If so, can you type hashtag aha moment and just kind of describe your aha moment? My second thing is, Emmie, did you feel that as you said that, as you spoke about the proper place of masculine and the feminine and the respect between us, you know, did you feel something? Was it just me? Because, it could be me, but I just felt something. Did you feel anything?
So as I was speaking that divine truth, what ended up happening was I just for that moment, just for that message, ceased to be Emmy and instead became the vocal cords that the masculine breath uses.
Oh,
The female is the vocal cord and the masculine is the breath.
wow.
The female will control the expression
Mm.
of that. So in that moment, what you felt was me entering into a state of totality,
Oh,
the masculine
love
and
it.
feminine working cohesively together.
Yes.
That's what you.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I love it. I love it. Hashtag whatever you feeling. Hashtag whatever you are feeling. Please hashtag it. I can only imagine the rainbow of hashtags right now. Because even there is a rainbow of hashtags within me right now. There's so many different things that I'm feeling. And I am loving this. This is so beautiful. I I don't see energy in the, with my physical eyes like you so much, and like some people here, but I can only imagine what my energy is doing because I'm just really, this is just, oh my gosh, this conversation, this is beautiful. We all needed this. We all need this. Speaking of that, I know that Lindsay Synergistic is in the chat doing her thing. I know she is. And I always see her talking about expanding the reach here. And I support that so much. Like, even this chat, people really need to know, even if they don't know, they need to know. If you share it with them, what can they do? They could either look at it or they won't. But if you feel led to share this, fam, please share this link. This is just beautiful. Please always share the link. You know how I say, Soul Tribe, please like, share, and subscribe. All right, I'm gonna get back on topic. All right, so we did speak on the question of semen retention. So we did even speak on some benefits of semen retention. What do you think are some potential benefits and even disadvantages of abstinence?
Honestly, I don't see any disadvantage of
Mm-hmm,
abstinence.
mm-hmm,
I don't see any. You can't
mm-hmm,
damage yourself um, by withholding your energy,
mm,
keeping it for yourself, for your healing,
mm,
for your
mm,
stability, for all of that. Like, there's
mm,
no negatives to it.
mm.
It might cause you to feel frustrated, but that's unrecognized potential. You're not
Wow.
really applying that energy. You
Mm,
are trying to hold on to a human concept of a
mhm.
need to regularly spill your energy,
Wow.
and that's going to cause frustration. That's going to cause aggression, right?
Mm.
Do you want to be docile or do you want to be creative,
Oh, love it.
right?
Love it.
Because really, I mean, I'm not a man, but you know, is it a common thing for men after they spill their seed? Are you just like super relaxed and you just want to chill, right? You want a sandwich and you want to chill and you want just like you feel good now,
Mm,
right? That's docile nature. You're becoming
mm,
docile in that instead of using that energy to create. And I'm not saying you should never spill your seed. I'm saying
mhm,
be intentional in what
mm.
you're doing.
Oh,
Very, very intentional. If it's time for you to release, be sure what you're releasing and why. If it's just for
mm,
immediate gratification, I mean, how many times have you done that immediate gratification thing, not just for your um, sexual topics, activities, but just immediate gratification, only to realize, God, I should have waited. I could have got something better.
mm.
You know,
Wow.
you
So
you bought
true.
a car and it's a used car, and you were just like, I gotta get a car. I gotta get a car. And
Mm,
then a week later, you're like, oh my God, this is my dream car for the price I want. Oh, but I can't afford
yeah.
that car,
Yeah.
right? So
Mm,
some of the benefits for the mental health, and you can find these types of lists online. So mental health, more confidence and self-control. um,
mm.
People that I know that have been abstinent for quite some time, they then I know
Hashtag don't call me out.
I was thinking of something else. I was
Too much
saying
information.
that. So what I've seen is they've become more confident and more
Mm,
self-controlled.
mm,
It's this thing of they're realizing that they're not necessarily dependent on someone else.
mm,
Like they can maintain their own. They're
mm,
fine.
mm.
Eventually, people will want a companion just because it's nice
Right.
to have someone. But now you've experienced you don't need one. You want one.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're not
Right.
settle, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Less anxiety and depression. Um,
Oh.
said, and this is one of the other benefits, that especially when men withhold their seed, it increases the levels of testosterone. So
Mm.
many men, because of epigenetics, they've been emasculated chemically as well as emotionally and mentally.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
you're not allowed to show aggression. You're not allowed to this. You're not allowed to that. Uh,
Anything.
we take a look at Will Smith. I mean, I don't really support what he did, but
Right.
we want a man who will protect us, defend
Mm.
us, fight for our honor. That's what he did. Again, I don't agree with what he did, but everyone got on him about that.
Mm.
So society is programmed to have us want that like uber masculine who will defend us, chivalry and yada yada yada.
Mhm.
But then when we see it play out, we're like, oh no, no, that's bad, or that's
Mm.
toxic.
Mm.
I don't know.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
Yeah.
things that retention can do. It can
Mhm.
increase your sense of motivation.
Mhm.
It can help to increase your memory, your concentration, your cognition, because so many people have become dependent on adult film content,
Mm.
right? And
Mm.
really, what do you do if you're going to watch adult film content? You're going to regularly make it a mission to spill your seed, further
Mm.
lowering, affecting your testosterone levels, all of these different things, right?
Mm.
Physically, muscle growth tends to occur when you have higher levels of testosterone.
Mm.
Um, Thicker hair, the quality of your voice, like everything. Spiritually, it deepens your relationships. You tend to be happier. And when
Mhm.
you're happier, your energy tends to be much more stable. So,
Mm.
I don't see any negatives to withholding your seed, like at all. I don't see any negatives to abstinence. It's just really, what are you willing to do for your health,
Mm. Mm.
right?
Wow. Wow. Damn. This I I don't even know. I don't even know why I'm on the other side of her right now because I don't even have the words. Look, I got some questions in front of me and I feel like I don't even have the words. Wow, profound. My goodness. Um, so as we near the end of our time, I'd like to ask a few thoughts on a few more things. Is that okay?
Mhm.
Okay. So let's say parents, let's take it to parents, right? If parents were to ask you for your insight regarding speaking to their children about sex, what are some things that you might share with them? Now they came to you. You're not over there, giving your unsolicited 2 cents.
Ooh, that's a hard one. Um,
Mm.
I think first and foremost, the most important thing is to not impress upon your kids your own conflict and shame about your sexuality,
Mm.
about
Deep.
your sexual nature. Um, Obviously, it has to be age appropriate,
Mm-hmm.
but we have to remove that shame. We have to be
Mm-hmm.
open with communication. We
Mm.
have to talk early and often with our children.
Mm.
For example, my kids know their anatomical body parts, the
Mm-hmm.
anatomical names for their body parts.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a wee wee. It's that's a penis. We have
Right.
um,
Mm-hmm.
been times where when my children were toddlers, obviously they never leave you alone, right?
Mm-hmm.
They just don't. They always want to
Mm-hmm.
be around you, which is fine. But when you're trying to use the bathroom and some little hands open the door and are now standing there and they're like, and I distinctly have this memory. um I was asked, I forget which one of my sons asked me, they're like, where's your penis?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, I don't have one, I have a
Mm-hmm.
vagina.
Mm-hmm.
So as I was developing in grandma's uterus, my chemicals created an internal penis. So my body part is inside, and it's called a
Mm-hmm.
vagina.
Mm.
It was like, oh, you don't have a water gun.
Wow.
Yeah, nope, nope, I don't. Yeah,
Wow.
there's no shame.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things, and that's one of the things that I'm very grateful about. in
Indeed.
the way that I grew up.
Mm-hmm.
There was no shame in the body. It was
Mm-hmm.
kind of like
Good.
my mom's getting dressed and you walk in. I mean, she's getting dressed. It's
Mm-hmm.
not gross. It's just, if you don't want to see her naked because it's uncomfortable for you personally,
Mm-hmm.
knock on the door. You don't just barge in, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's kind of, the start of it is not teaching that shame about your body.
Yeah.
My kids know, because, the older ones watched me breastfeed. They
Mm-hmm.
know we all have nipples. Mommy's breasts are different than
Mm-hmm.
daddy's because of the
Mm-hmm.
size. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but we all have mammary glands that
Mm-hmm.
help to produce milk, and that's what breasts are made for. There's no
Yeah.
shame in it. It's more
Yeah.
of like what I've taught them, my husband and I have taught them, is about age appropriateness.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
it's not the shame of sex, it's that,
Mm-hmm.
okay, for your age, is this the
Mm-hmm.
proper level of maturity that's necessary to understand the content?
Mm-hmm.
No? Okay, then maybe you shouldn't watch that, you know? And
Indeed.
there's times where we'll watch movies together and there will be kissing or whatever. And, my younger ones will be like, can you like fast forward that? This feels
Right. Right.
oh yeah, no,
Mm-hmm.
fast forward it, So
Mm-hmm.
it's just about age appropriateness.
Yes. Yes.
Another thing is that a lot of times for adults, we don't
Mm-hmm.
allow our children to witness
Mm-hmm.
healthy, intimate touch, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
We make it something taboo. And if your child
Mm-hmm.
happens to be rebellious, then
Mm-hmm.
they will seek out what you have made taboo.
Yeah.
My children have seen their dad kiss me on the cheek, kiss me on
Mm-hmm.
the lips. They've seen
Mm-hmm.
him grab my butt, and they're like, "Oh, you're so gross." Freak out. But it's an age appropriate thing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
They don't like
Mm-hmm.
that. And so, there's been times where my husband will say, well, when you have someone, you probably will do that too.
Mm-hmm.
Things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Really allowing our children to be who they are.
Yeah.
Um, there's a lot of things going on right now with
Mm-hmm.
gender identity,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of confusion going on right now. I don't feel
Mm-hmm.
like it's my place to tell anyone what their gender is.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say there's a lot of programs that are going on, both
Yeah.
genetics as well as
Mm-hmm.
social conditioning, that
Mm.
will really work to convince your child that they are broken somehow
Yeah.
and that they are identifying as the wrong gender
Yeah.
during a period where really all of us don't know who we are when we're like
Right.
10, 11,
Right.
12, 13, all the way up to teens, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I think the healthiest thing when your child comes to you about topics that are sexual in nature, whether it's
Mm-hmm.
sexual identity, sexual orientation, or the full on act,
Mm-hmm.
we have to not allow our fear, our personal conflict, and our personal shame
Yeah.
to impress upon our children. We have to do what we can to make sure they don't inherit
Oh,
that shame and guilt that we did from our parents.
so true. So true.
Yeah.
Wow. In the chat, if you feel comfortable sharing, if you're a parent and this was helpful to you, this question right here was helpful to you, or even if you have nieces or nephews, any child that may have come to you or you may want to be able to speak to, if you just let Emmie know if any of that information was helpful, that I think that would be great. So two more things, and it's 11:12 on my end. So that means I remember this Dave Chappelle skit. Wrap it up. Yo, wrap it up, B. Yeah. So as I personally am a multimodal learner, I really appreciate the things that you've been doing with this podcast. The resources and visuals that you provide in the series, they're just wonderful. I really love the Soul Sanctuary podcast and the Dear Emmy series. I love those things. So, with regard to this, are there any videos or websites that you think would be helpful along the journey to understanding and cultivating sacred relationships in a sacred sex life?
So I don't personally offer that type of service or consultation.
Mhm.
But I do have a friend who is very similar to me in
Mhm.
integrity as well
Mhm.
as skill.
Mm.
And I think she'd be able to help. Uh,
Mm.
she does QHHT healing therapy, which that's a
Okay.
Dolores Cannon hypnosis healing therapy. And
Mhm.
she also offers a whole bunch of different services. I have never met another person as comfortable in her sexual nature as Charmaine Illenberger. I,
Wow.
I mean, I've mentioned her so many times in so many live streams.
Mhm.
Um, just a little tidbit on her. She's a nurse
Mhm.
and she, I believe, does life coaching. She does all sorts of different modalities.
Mhm.
And the reason she comes up in my mind right now is because just the other day, I think it was yesterday actually,
Mhm.
I'm a friend of hers on Facebook and I saw her post a picture. It was her mother, her, and her daughter. And her daughter,
Right.
I believe, is a teen. And
Mhm.
this picture was powerful. Why? Her mother was in her bra. Charmaine, I think, was butt booty naked. And then her daughter was in like a bathing suit top. It was from the waist up, but
Mhm.
all three generations were smiling and comfortable in their sexual
Comfortable.
essence,
Yeah.
you know,
Mhm.
and it wasn't anything perverted. It wasn't
Mhm. Right.
anything that was intended to just be like shock and awe. It was
Mhm.
a declaration of healing through an essence
Yes.
of self. It was
Mhm.
beautiful, beautiful. And it's really this thing of like, I feel so strongly. If any of you are seeking guidance in that subject matter,
Mhm.
oh my gosh, she would be amazing, an amazing, amazing resource.
Wow.
So she's on Facebook, she's on Instagram, and she has a website. Let me check my notes. Hold on. I know I
Okay.
have a website somewhere here. So I have it down from a different live stream. Hold on. Here you go. So her name is Charmaine Illenberger. Oops, there you go. And that's her Facebook and her website. Oh, did I not put her website? Hold on. Her website is holding space dot me. Yeah, I've known her for quite some time, and she has this uncanny ability to make you feel very safe in your own
Wow.
skin.
That's
Yeah.
beautiful.
She was
That's
the very
beautiful.
first person to do a hypnosis session with me.
Mm.
It was basically a past life regression, and my higher self doesn't trust many people,
Mhm.
and I was concerned that I would interfere with the results of that session, and
Mhm.
I was going to.
Mhm. Mhm.
That's just my nature, and
Mhm.
she's so full of integrity that what my higher self ended up doing was putting me in a box.
Mm.
My higher self confined my consciousness
Mhm.
and it spoke to her directly for the rest of the session. I have no
Wow.
memory of the session. I just remember being shown like this crystal encrusted rattle. It's like a dorja or whatever.
Mm.
It's a Tibetan thing. And I was like, ooh,
So
she was
distressing.
a rock. And I was just like the whole
Wow.
time. That's what I remember.
Deep.
Yeah. She has that level of integrity. And
Mhm.
from what I've seen through her posts, uh, it's just this beautiful unfoldment of a woman coming into her goddess prime.
Mm.
It's very,
Love
very
it.
inspirational. And it's
Yeah.
not just sexual stuff that
Mhm.
I feel she would be amazing with,
Mhm.
it's a whole recalibration of your perception.
Beautiful.
Yeah, she's amazing. She's an amazing,
Yeah.
amazing resource.
Wow.
Quite possibly one of the only people that I would refer you guys to because she has
Oh,
that integrity. If you don't need that type of session, she'll flat out tell you.
yeah. I love that. I really respect that. And it's so interesting that you would say that because I wasn't even thinking about that. Like, seriously, I was thinking about like books or websites, but let me tell you why that's so deep. You went there, and I happened to see that very picture just the other day. So I know exactly the picture that you're talking about. You know, it was a beautiful sight to see. I wasn't even looking for that. I was looking for someone that I follow on Facebook. I was looking for something that they wrote just the other day. And I happened to see that picture. I'm like, whoa. So now that you're talking about it, ooh, guys, if you haven't seen that, it's really amazing. So within a matter of 90 minutes or so, Emmie, we have managed to speak on various aspects of what sacred sex and sacred relationships are, what they look like, what they feel like. What final thoughts would you like to leave us with?
Oh gosh, find your courage.
Mm,
Find your courage to explore yourself, to explore the wilderness that is your heart and your mind. Find
mm,
yourself in that wilderness, have no shame, have no fear, and explore. And the more
wow.
you know yourself, the more you'll know what you want from a sacred partner,
Wow.
someone to be as intimate with physically as well as intellectually and
Mm,
emotionally. Um,
mm,
you know, the issues that we have around the topic of sex have a lot to do with our lack of knowing of who we are,
mm.
what we want, all of
Yes.
those things. One of the things that I love the most about being in such a long term monogamous relationship is that I've learned so much about what my body likes and doesn't like. I've
Mm,
learned so much about how another person can know me as intimately as I
mm.
know myself. It's a
Wow.
very sacred, sacred thing
Wow.
to know that no matter what the activity, no matter the positioning, no matter whatever it is,
Mhm.
gosh, my body, my heart, my soul, and my mind is safe in this man's hands.
Whoa. Totality. Everything.
Yes, yes. That applies to our in real life circumstance. That
Mhm.
applies to our finances. That
Mhm.
applies to our sexual things.
Yeah.
Everything. He would never do things that would disrespect me, even
That's right.
overtly.
Yes. Yes.
So when
Wow.
you enter into that sacred union, now my husband's not my
Mhm.
twin. It doesn't have
Mhm.
to be your twin. When
Mhm.
there is an alignment that occurs between two souls, it becomes this step ladder that takes you to
Mm.
higher and higher spaces of knowing
Mm.
yourself, your
Mm.
soul. It allows
Mm.
for the holding of space for you to heal.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. That is exceptionally exceptional. Always. Wow. Guys, can somebody type snip quote in that for me? Because
Yeah.
that's a beautiful quote. I want to go back and listen to that again.
Universal D types and snip codes.
Thank you, Dee. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. So I would just like to thank you very much, Emmie, for the opportunity. I'd like to thank you very much, Soul Fam, for the opportunity. Thank you all so very much. It's been an honor and a pleasure.
Ah, thank you. These questions were very thought provoking. They were questions that helped me to find my courage. So that was profound. Thank you so much. I mean, I could never have had this conversation at the degree that we've just had alone. And
Wow.
because of that, this is a sacred, intimate connection that we've just developed.
That's
Um,
beautiful.
you know,
Thank you.
that sacred intimacy can go far beyond just a sexual encounter.
Mm-hmm.
We can
Mm-hmm.
apply it to all the different aspects of our lives, from platonic connections to romantic to familial to business, whatever it is. When you begin to learn yourself, you will begin to find the answers have always been within you.
Deep.
Find these answers, you'll begin to be able to more better explore life and
Mm-hmm.
your intimate side with another person.
Wow. That's so deep. Speaking of deep, I am a recurring contributor, and I can only imagine how deep you are about to go in that exclusive chat.
Yes.
So I know you have a few moments left. Do you want to kind of give some potential topics for that TSS exclusive chat?
Gosh, what I want to do, there were quite a few different topics that I wanted to cover in that
Mhm,
chat.
mhm.
What I really, really want to do is have quite possibly the most sacred space we've ever had in that chat and
Mm.
bring all of the participants up. Instead of you just hearing me talk to you, I want to bring
Oh,
you up and I want you to be able to ask me in the most intimate way, looking me in the eyes and me looking at you.
wow.
Any questions you have about sacred sex, about intimate connections. And it's my hope that all of the members come up and talk.
Wow.
We can ask questions. You can share stories. You can
Mm,
share whatever was the most profound thing that really triggered your growth today.
wow.
Yeah.
I
Mhm.
love it. I can't wait to be on that chat. Can't wait to be on chat.
Yes.
Okay.
So
Well,
I know I brought you up here to ask me questions,
uh-oh.
but I would love to ask you,
Okay.
what is the most profound thing that you'll be taking away from this conversation?
Whoa. The most profound thing that I will be taking away from this discussion is the realization that my understanding and my embracing of all things sacred has just been expanded exponentially. Um, there are so many things to take away, but I just right now am just basking in the glory of the totality of it all, if that makes sense.
It does. It does. And that's how I know the depth of the sacred profoundness you've experienced. When it's truly that deep and that profound, for every single human being, it's going to take you a moment to integrate that, to make
Mm-hmm.
it is. All of that triggering of the remembrance and the thoughts and the processes that takes
Mm-hmm.
time to quantify.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what
Mm-hmm.
made, oh, yes. Oh my gosh. I hope you choose to come back and join me again at some point.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I will. And let me share this with you all. I have literally been up for 24 hours. And
Oh,
so just excuse me. But you know what? I don't even feel like it. This talk right here, I feel so energized. I feel so good. My eyes don't reflect that. But I feel so good. Thank you all so very much. Thank you, Emmie.
you look amazing.
Thank you, as do you. Thank you so much.
All right. So this was an amazing, amazing chat. Do you guys want to ask us any questions? I think we have a few minutes left. We can take maybe 2 questions or so. If you guys want to quickly ask us something, I'll look at the comments as well and see if there's something that was already asked.
Okay.
Um, let's see. I see a lot of like, everyone loves you.
Oh, thank you.
I
Love
love
you too, fam. Love you too. I
I
appreciate you all.
You should probably do like, yeah, no, I would love for you to have some type of recurring um, role in the podcast and Emmie Evolving podcast as well. Not only is your voice ridiculously soothing, um, I love the way your mind functions. I love it.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Everyone thinks you're beautiful and they love you.
I love you too, and you're beautiful too. Girl, don't make me cry. My eyes are already baggy enough.
We don't even see any bags. We
Now,
don't.
please. Like, if I were at the airport, girl, baggage claim right now, baggage claim right here. But
Girl,
I.
I'm like, I don't see no bags. Or she
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'd be honored to do that. Yes, of course.
Yeah. Yeah. Universal D says her mind's amazing.
Oh, thank you, D. You know I love you. I love all of you. Thank you so much.
Yes. I'll talk to you privately about maybe some different things that we can do to bring you back on, because this conversation, I love it. I love
Oh, me too. Wonderful. Thank you.
All right. We are out of time at this point. Thank you, everyone. And especially thank you, Ocean Lover. This
Thank
has been an
you.
amazing experience. I was so worried. Thank you for, you guys, I messaged her super late last night. And I was like, hey, do you want to come? She's like, what? Yeah. I just knew that I would not be able to find my courage to share what needed to be shared on my own. So thank you
Mm.
for that. Thank you for helping me find my courage and for guiding me in what
Oh,
I should share.
that's
So,
precious.
yeah,
Thank you for the same. I don't think I would be so comfortable if it were anyone else but you. And that's the total truth.
same, same, absolutely
Mm.
same. Ooh, Annie says, I have a question. Can I get a recording of Ocean's voice to listen to when I have a hard time sleeping?
Interesting.
I'm telling you, your voice is just absolutely intoxicating.
Wow.
And
Thank you. Thank you, Annie. I love you. You know I'll love you. Love all of you.
so, guys, really quick before we go, if you would like to join our exclusive conversations, thank you, Lindsay. Lindsay has just commented the link. I'm going to pin this message. If you'd like to join us for the Soul Sanctuary exclusive podcast, please use the soulsanctuary.love, link, and it will give you immediate access. Another thing, I did post on Facebook and I'll post also here on YouTube. Someone near and dear to me is in an urgent situation,
Mm,
and his name is Michael Zenbrooks on Facebook, and he's needing to raise $300 for a very urgent situation in the next 24 hours. And kind of a background story. Um, Last night, my soul was just like, oh my God, what's going on with my boo cakes? I've known him for a very long time, and he's been through quite a bit in life and has done amazing in his self healing. And
mm,
I reached out to him last night and I was just like, hey, boo. And that was it. I didn't know why I was messaging. And he answered with, are you okay? Because I never
mm,
message. And so, although he's going through all the things that he's going through, his first concern was to make sure that I was okay.
mm,
So, he's a very, very beautiful person. I was like, I'm fine, but my heart is just like missing you and wondering if you're okay.
mm,
And he shared what's going on. Um, and I was like, okay, what is your PayPal, Venmo, Cash App?
mhm,
And he basically didn't want to tell me.
mhm,
He's someone who continuously posts and encourages and uplifts and helps to encourage healing.
mm,
And just like
mm,
me, he was like, I don't want to ask.
mhm, mhm,
And I know so many of us can relate to that.
mhm,
Always the most generous givers, lovers
mm,
that have a hard time asking.
mhm,
So this is an actual need, an urgent one.
mhm,
Let me find the post really quick so um, I can give you guys his info, and that way you guys can kind of have it here. Wait, oh, I did the wrong thing. I almost signed out.
ah,
Let me see really quick. All right. So here it is. Okay. I'm gonna post it on where where's the live stream? I don't know where it went. Oh no. Um, oh yikes. Oh, here it is. Here it is. Here. Let me put it in the comments. Oh, thank you, Lindsay. Lindsay also commented it. um,
Nancy is great.
I know she's so on top of
Mhm.
everything.
She's on it. Yes.
Gosh, I adore you.
I love
So,
you, Lindsay.
yes, if you can manage even $1, it all adds up. His PayPal
Mhm.
is Zenergistic. His Cash App is $ Zenergistic. Venmo is Zenergistic as well. Okay. And he has a job. It's just the job hasn't started. It starts in a couple of weeks. And so the time between his job starting and now, there is a need. It's only $300, which that's still a lot of money. He's not looking to be rich or receive more than 300. Um, it's just he has a very urgent need right now. And that's all it is. The timing, the timing. So whatever we can do to help, I'm definitely also going to be personally contributing. And yeah, it's a beautiful thing to be able to begin realizing that we have the power to change the world by choosing to change the way we function with each other.
Yes. Yes.
It's important. It's really important. For a while, I stopped sharing people's different GoFundMe's and whatnot because I had to go through my process of self healing. And as I
Mhm.
return back to the version of me that's most compatible with the work I'm here to do, um, when my heart calls me to, I'm now beginning to share people's needs. I feel
Yes.
like it's not enough for me to make the donation. I
Mhm.
feel making the donation must always go with sharing about the need and
Yeah.
giving you guys the opportunity to choose, to decide, do you have the capacity, the ableness to do that
Mhm.
as well? And we never want to put you in a situation where um, you giving is going to create hardship for you.
Mhm.
That's not going to make me feel good. That's never going to make me feel good. But if you do have the ability to spare $1, $2, $5, it all adds up. It all very much adds up. And I find that when I share the people that I'm trying to help, um, that's the first step in creating that sanctuary, that global sanctuary, where virtually we have a space where we know
Mhm.
we can get help, not because we don't want to do the work, but because life has kind of put us in a position where we need to be vulnerable, where
Mhm.
we need to allow people to know I am in the process of learning to receive. And
Yeah.
please help me learn that.
Mm.
Forever grateful. And he is the type to be forever grateful. He really is. He's the type to be forever grateful. So that's going to be something that's heavy on my heart until I know that his need has been met. And I don't know if he's okay with me sharing what that need is, but it's an actual tangible need. It's not just, oh, things are hard, things are rough. No, it's a tangible need. It's an actual bill that is important for his day-to-day safety.
Yeah.
So, whatever you guys can do, I truly appreciate it. And thank you again, Ocean Lover.
You're so very welcome and thank you. Just one question, really quickly, because I can't see the chat. Can you please spell that for me for Michael, the
Oh,
Cash App?
yeah, it's the letter Z
Mm-hmm.
N E
Mm-hmm.
R G
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
S T I C.
Mm-hmm.
And that
Okay.
is for PayPal and Venmo. And on Cash App, it's Zenergistic with a $ at the front. So it's like
Okay.
energistic with a Z in front.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wonderful. The best to him, the very best to him and his loved ones. And thank you for sharing that. That really means a lot. Thank you.
Yeah. And thank you again. Yeah, no, he is absolutely one of the most gentle, most loving souls I have ever come across,
Mm,
with
mm,
no expectation of anything from anyone.
mm. Beautiful.
And it's those type of people that we need to protect the most. Not protect
I
from the
agree.
world, but protect from their own withholding of receiving love.
So true. So true. A word for many of us. Thank
Right?
you.
It's,
Yes.
and that's what you guys have taught me. You guys have taught me that I don't need protection from the world. I
Mm,
need to be protected from myself,
mm,
from me never allowing myself to receive. I
mm,
was telling him last night that he gives so much to other
mhm,
people. He's so supportive and so loving. He's like, he's a divine masculine.
mm.
Yeah. He's a total divine
Beautiful.
masculine.
Yeah.
And that's I that might be why he popped in my head last night. It was not long after I reached out to you, and it was like, oh, divine masculine. And I reached out to him like, what's up? And I never reach out. So I knew something was up. The fact that I could not message him, I knew
Mhm.
something was up. And he was gonna try and be like, no, it's okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, it'll be okay after you let me help, you know,
Right. Right.
or you let all of us show you.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
they are the people who are the healers of our world are often the ones who refuse to ask for help, who
Mhm.
don't want to inconvenience anyone.
Deep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I hope, Ocean Lover, that you are stepping into that healer role more and allowing yourself to receive more as well.
Thank you. Yes, I am. Thank you. I am.
All
Thank you.
right. We better get going. For all
Yeah.
of the members of the private ministry, the Soul Sanctuary.love, I will see you guys in a little bit. The link for our chat today is already in the announcements bar, and I will see you guys. All right, everyone, please give this video a thumbs up. If you haven't already subscribed, please do subscribe. Turn on that notification bell. Join me when I'm live. I will see you guys again very, very soon.